Hachishakusama, the 8-foot terror. Fear isn't just a flicker in our eyes. It's a chilling grasp on our very soul. In the ancient, shadowed heart of Japan, every whisper of a spirit, every thread of an urban legend is spun from a terrifying truth. To cross their path is often to sign your own death warrant. And some deaths linger. Imagine a woman, impossibly tall, her frame stretching far beyond the natural, 8 feet, some say more, a spectral figure that seems to drink the light around her. Her only sound? A low, guttural, utterly sinister, oh, oh, oh. It's a sound that crawls under your skin, a lullaby of pure dread. If you haven't heard it, if you haven't seen her, be grateful. For those who do, their time is measured in breaths, each one a dwindling hope. Our story begins in a quiet, secluded Japanese village nestled deep within mountains that seem to hold their own ancient secrets. Young Kenji, barely 10 years old, was sent to stay with his grandparents for a few summer days. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, the rhythm of rural life, a comforting balm. Everything seemed normal, idyllic even, until that afternoon. Kenji was playing in the sun-drenched garden, chasing dragonflies, when his gaze drifted toward the old stone wall bordering the property. And there she was, towering over the wall, a figure dressed in stark, flowing white. Her face, even from that distance, held a fixed, unblinking smile, and then the sound. Oh, oh, oh. It wasn't human. It was deep, resonating, almost playful in its menace. He ran inside, breathless, his small heart hammering against his ribs. "Grandma, there's a giant woman outside, so tall, and she keeps making a strange sound." His grandmother's normally warm face paled, her eyes widening with a terror that Kenji had never seen. She dropped the teacup she was holding, ceramic shattering on the tatami mat. "Hachishakusama," she whispered, the name a poisoned dart. "You saw her?" Panic seized the small household. This was no woman. This was Hachishakusama, a cursed spirit, a relentless entity who preys on children, stealing them away, body and soul. They say to be seen by her is to be marked. To be marked is to be claimed. And to be claimed is to be lost forever. Desperate, his grandparents immediately summoned the village's Buddhist monk, an old man whose eyes had seen too much. He arrived cloaked in shadow, his face grim. A hurried, frantic, protective ceremony was performed. Ancient chants filled the small home, the air growing heavy with incense and unspoken prayers. Talismans, brittle with age and potent with protective power, were pressed into Kenji's trembling hands. "You will not leave this room," the monk's voice was a low growl. "Under any circumstances, no matter what you hear, no matter what you see, you do not open this door. You do not respond to any voice but ours. Do you understand?" Kenji could only nod, tears streaming down his face. He was locked in his room, the heavy wooden door sealing him into his own prison of fear. As dusk bled into night, the gentle chirping of crickets outside seemed to morph into something sinister. Every creak of the old house, every rustle of leaves against the window pane became a harbinger of dread. Then, in the dead of night, It began, a low, familiar sound, echoing from just outside his window. Oh, oh, oh. It was unmistakable. Kenji froze, his body rigid with fear, every muscle screaming to move. He squeezed his eyes shut, clutching the talismans so tightly they bit into his skin. Through the thin shoji screen of the window, he could make out a vast, looming shadow, obscuring the moonlight. Her enormous form, framed by the window, was staring directly at him. The voice drew closer, louder, relentlessly circling the house, the oh, 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 seeming to reverberate within his very bones. It shifted, subtly, insidiously. It sounded like his grandmother calling his name. Kenji, Kenji, sweet boy, are you all right? Open the door, darling. It's me. But Kenji remembered the monk's warning. He knew. It wasn't his grandmother. With eyes still squeezed shut, he chanted the mantras the monk had taught him, a desperate, silent prayer against the encroaching terror. He remained motionless, voiceless, a statue of pure, unadulterated fear. The voice persisted, growing more desperate, more insistent, even beginning to plead. But he held on, silent, unmoving, through the endless hours of darkness, until the first hint of dawn, when the sinister sound finally, mercifully, faded. When the priest returned at first light, his face etched with exhaustion, he confirmed the boy's safety. For now, he cautioned, his voice grave. But if you ever see her again, Kenji, if you ever hear that sound, far from the protection of these walls, no one will save you. Hachishakusama is no longer just a legend, confined to isolated villages. Her chilling tale has seeped into the urban sprawl, a cold dread that spreads with every whispered word. Many claim to have glimpsed her towering form, heard her chilling call, only to vanish, leaving behind nothing but the echo of that terrible oh, oh, oh. So, if you ever hear her name, if you ever catch a glimpse of an impossible height in your periphery, or hear that distinctive, guttural sound, don't run, because by then, it might already be too late. She may already be closer than you think, and she might just be calling your name. Sukshima Unna, the spirit of the gaps. Fear doesn't just lurk in the deepest shadows, where darkness conceals grotesque shapes. No, sometimes the most insidious terror hides in plain sight, in the most unsuspecting corners. It's in the quiet spaces, the forgotten slivers where a simple gap can become your last, terrifying sight. It preys on your perception, making you question every shadow, every fleeting movement at the edge of your vision. In Japan, they tell a chilling tale, whispered in hushed tones when the lights are low. They say that if your eyes meet hers in a confined space, a cramped hallway, a cluttered attic, even the suffocating solitude of your own room, Sukshima Unna will have spotted you. And once she has, she will not let go. She becomes your silent, unseen companion, a constant, chilling presence. She is the spirit of the gaps, the entity that lurks within the unseen fractures of your world. She can emerge from any crack, the narrow space between cupboard doors, where the wood has warped with age, the deep, dark corner of an overstuffed drawer, or perhaps most terrifyingly, the insidious gap between your bed and the cold, unyielding wall. At first, you might see nothing but a flicker, a momentary disturbance in the corner of your eye. Then, if you're unlucky, your gaze might settle, and you'll see them, her eyes, 2 pinpricks of malevolent light glinting from an impossibly narrow opening. Then, if you dare to look longer, her form will begin to materialize, her impossibly thin body, almost 2-dimensional, slowly unfurling from the darkness. And then, her smile, a charming yet utterly horrifying grin that stretches too wide, a silent promise of the dread to come. This is the prelude, the slow, agonizing reveal. One day, she will fully emerge from her hiding place. People say that if you see her once, even for a fleeting second, she will follow you everywhere. You will frantically try to close one gap, pushing furniture against a wall, sealing a door with tape, covering every possible crevice, but she will always find another. She might appear at the fractured edge of an old mirror, her reflection a grotesque parody of your own. Or perhaps she'll be framed by the slight opening of a window, her eyes fixed on you from the outside. Wherever you are, in whatever space you seek refuge, she always finds a crevice, a sliver of darkness, to reach you. The paranoia will begin to consume you. Every shadow becomes suspect, every quiet corner a potential hiding place. You'll find yourself constantly scanning, searching, trying to find the impossible gaps you might have missed. You'll check under the bed, behind the curtains, inside closets, not for monsters, but for the invisible slivers of space where she might be waiting. And then comes the night, the absolute quiet of your room, broken only by the frantic beat of your own heart. Before going to sleep, the ritual begins. You'll check one last time, every crack, every seam, every minuscule opening. You'll tell yourself it's just the wind, just your imagination. But deep down, you'll know. You're not checking for drafts. You're checking for her. Because if you leave even one gap, even the smallest unsealed space, Sukshima Unna might already be there, waiting, watching, and you'll realize, with a cold, paralyzing certainty, that the confined space isn't just your room, it's your very existence, and she has already squeezed herself inside.